you to feel absolutely free. Tell me what you think, what you feel, what you expect. I am a parent, I'm a grandparent. So I have children who have passed their adolescence, very much so, but who have given me grandchildren. So their future is of concern to me. But it's not just the fact that I have a family. We have a population of 45 million people. And we take pride in saying that it's increasing very fast every year. But what is the quality of life that characterizes this growing population? What kind of future can they have if they start off with all kinds of infections between malaria, HIV, and polio and others? How do we tackle these problems? These are matters of concern to me. But for a poor country, I think the best way to combat disease is to prevent it. And certainly with regard to HIV/AIDS, it's much easier to prevent because it's much more a matter of will rather than physical circumstances. So in my dealings with the BMAF, the AIDS Foundation, I emphasize to them, yes, we must continue fundraising for access in order to be able to bear the cost of access to ARTs and so on. But we must give equal emphasis or take the opportunity of giving this, of the opportunities which are offered to provide these services, also for us also to provide the prevention services that are often lacking in formal health institutions. And this one aspect I put a lot of emphasis on. Prevention is better than cure, they said. Well, I have said enough anyway. I don't know how much my assistant might help me, how much success we have had, what problems we have encountered, but we will share those as we go along. Okay?
Thank you, sir. We now have the meat of the issue. We have a youth moderator who is, thank you. Madam Youth Moderator, over to you now.
I would like to introduce the first participant.
The status of adolescent and youth-friendly HIV service, such as age, appropriate-friendly and non-discrimination, HIV counseling, testing without parental consent, is a critical issue in Tanzania. Currently, almost 40% of all new infections are among young people below 24 years. In particular, adolescent girls and young women are at high risk of getting infected. We need to change this, and we need to have more youth-friendly service available in places like hospital, healthcare center, and other places. In your experience, what do you think is a good way to ensure more adolescent and youth-friendly HIV service? And the second question is, how could we as young people collaborate with you to improve the situation?
That's a tough one, isn't it? I think health centers can be also HIV education centers. And I think that is the way it is just now. Yes. At the dispensaries and health centers, you will find a lot of publicity about AIDS, as you find about malaria and others. But that in itself is not enough. I think the health workers there must be deliberately encouraged themselves to know all aspects of this disease, and then two, to give the kind of prevention advice that can help. I think for a start, that is it. What do you think?
I think it's more of something to do, it can be a national campaign, because it's not easy for anybody telling their parents anything about sex. It's gonna bring trouble, it might be chased out of home, it can be problems. I think maybe young people can combine with the government and come up with this campaign which pushes parents to be transparent, because this is a very, very important issue, and it's all national.
So I agree with you, there is a certain degree of that the government can do to encourage parents to talk with their children and to warn them against the dangers. But that may accelerate the process, but it has to start with the family.
There is low comprehensive knowledge about HIV among young people in Tanzania. One reason can be that those who are trained to teach HIV education are older. What do you think about the idea of establishing the peer education incubation centers across communities?
If you can find the funds, it will be very helpful indeed. But let me tell you, it's not easy to get funds for this. But conceptually, there's nothing wrong with it. There's everything to commend it. But to put it into practice, you do need a big hand in funding.
Theo, I agree with George at how much it's important and imperative if this education, is given by peers, because we relate. That's something we could think about. Yeah, doing in our own networks, but also how are we going to influence as a group?
In Tanzania, risky traditional practices are still going on. For instance, female genital mutilation, polygamy, inheritance of widows. Would you have suggestions on how we as young leaders and you as a champion could come up with, work together to effectively reduce or completely eradicate this problem, not just raising awareness alone?
There was a conference of the fight against female genital mutilation in Mara region. And that's one way that has proven very, very useful, because it had religious leaders, political party leaders, social workers. And this is one way in which you can fight female genital FGM, but at the same time, therefore, help with the anti-HIV AIDS campaign.
There is evidence, I think it comes from UNAIDS actually, for every year of education, and we are talking about general education, it reduces the likelihood of getting HIV infection by 7%. That's a very powerful tool. Staying in school, learning about general education has a great value as a prevention tool. Remember it and promote it, please.
Tanzania is highly donor dependent. What about partnering with the private sector to establish strong domestic resource mobilization? What do you think about this?
I commend the drive to mobilize local resources in this fight against AIDS. The really large corporations, particularly the mining ones, have been extremely responsive. If you organize a fundraising event well, you can get contributions even in small amounts that can be quite considerable.
We have seen a lot of media campaigns and advocacy on HIV in Tanzania. But the issue has been sustainability. With your influence, how can we work together to engage role models who are living with HIV to sustainably raise awareness of HIV in Tanzania?
First, I don't think the media is doing enough. You see, I don't think the seriousness of this disease has been appreciated enough. Yeah. It is serious, because it's taking the lives of our teachers, of our uniformed services. We must press for more awareness, and the media, definitely. The media can do much more than it has done, really. Not talking about stigma or something like that. No, talking about prevention.
President Mkapa has indicated that in areas where it is also possible for him to partner with you, to work with you, to support you, he is willing to do so.
We as young people appreciate highly the role that the champions can play in amplifying the voice of young people. And as we are happy and pleased that Your Excellency has given us this opportunity to have this conversation with you, and it has helped us, it has opened our eyes in so many ways, in so many aspects. I'm sure as we finish this dialogue, before we leave home, I'm sure we'll come up with better ways to improve on HIV infection and gender equality. Not waiting on other people to do it, but doing it ourselves. The 8 of us who are here as young leaders, I believe I believe in an AIDS-free generation, it always starts with you, and it always begins with you. Thank you.